A deadly plan was drawn up by the Chinese military to destroy the US aircraft carrier. At exactly 7:42 a.m. on July the 12th, 2025, 3 Chinese Y-20 aircraft suddenly approached the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier group near Guam. Disguised as cargo planes, they flew low over international waters, deceiving all radar systems. But inside, they carried not supplies, but a meticulously calculated plan of attack. Beneath the mask of peace, China had just delivered its first strike. What no one in the US carrier strike group realized was that for the past 31 minutes, those planes had been silently unleashing dozens of stealth drones, scattering like invisible phantoms across the sky. They mapped every movement of the fleet below with surgical precision. The morning was clear. The trap was already in place.
Flies the AC, and obviously the I variant of this aircraft. It's a historic moment for you, the world, and specifically the region that we're seeing this jet.
No clouds, no warnings, just routine maneuvers in the Philippine Sea. But in the next 210 seconds, everything changed. What began as a standard patrol became the most sophisticated multi-domain ambush in modern naval history, a calculated strike that would mark a turning point in the war and push the world one step closer to global conflict. High above the Pacific, 3 Chinese Y-20s slipped into international airspace broadcasting civilian transponder codes. To US satellites, they looked routine, just cargo planes on standard flight paths. But inside, they carried something that would redefine modern warfare. Moments later, their bay doors opened, releasing a silent swarm, nearly 100 stealth drones shaped like manta rays and cloaked in radar-absorbing skin. They glided undetected toward the USS Gerald R. Ford, hundreds of miles east of Guam. At sea level, a second wave closed in. 4 H-6K bombers flew nap of the Earth, releasing modified buoys armed with advanced electronic warfare pods. Within moments, a 60-mile radius fell into chaos. Radar-blinded satellite links, severed comms scrambled. This wasn't a conventional strike. It was an electronic ambush, silent, surgical, disorienting. And then, the main strike force appeared on the horizon. From within the blinding interference cloud, 16 J-16 fighters dropped from medium altitude, unleashing YJ-91 anti-radiation missiles aimed straight at the fleet's outer defenses. This wasn't chaos, it was precision. A coordinated strike designed to blind the carrier group before it could respond. Stealth drones plunged from above. Missiles screamed just above the waves. It was a vertical pincer, every layer timed to the second, overwhelming the American defense grid from every direction at once. For 220 seconds, the skies over the Philippine Sea erupted into a storm of speed shadows and fury. The Chinese strike force had unveiled a new kind of warfare, an all-domain saturation assault combining stealth drones, decoys, and cyber strikes in perfect unison. No warnings, no words, just sudden calculated violence. It was shock warfare by design. Now witness how the world's most advanced defense system responds. And if this moment marks the dawn of something far greater. Like, subscribe, and tell us what you think in the comments. Amid the chaos of China's precision strike, the US fleet had only seconds to respond. But it didn't need more. The system was already awake. Aboard the USS Princeton, the Aegis combat system lit up like DEFCON 1. As jammers flooded the spectrum, E-2D Hawkeye aircraft switched to low-frequency radar, cutting through the interference like a blade through fog. Targets locked. Within moments, data streamed into the CEC network, syncing every ship's fire control in real time. The fleet's outer shell came alive and prepared to strike back. From the USS Chancellorsville, 8 SM-6 missiles launched straight up, then veered toward their targets. CIWS guns spun into action, shredding drones at low altitude. The sky lit up contrails tracers' fire. FA-18 Super Hornets dove from patrol, guided by live data, firing AMRAAMs into the drone swarm with surgical precision. Chinese stealth drones never reached the carrier's edge. Aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford blast doors, sealed crews took position, but the line was already holding. Aegis at sea, jets in the air, autoguns on deck, each layer worked in unison. Only one missile got through, striking Chancellorsville's radar mast. Everything else was destroyed. Not luck, precision by design. The Chinese strike was swift, silent, and precise, but America's response was faster, smarter, and deadlier. Layered defenses, integrated systems, and relentless coordination didn't just repel the assault, they overwhelmed it. Yet victory in battle is not the same as peace. What followed was deeper trust, shattered diplomacy frozen, and the balance of power shifted not in land, but in perception. The Pacific, once a vast buffer, is now a live fuse. Washington proved its resolve, but how many more red lines can be crossed before one triggers the irreversible? For those watching from afar, citizens, veterans, families, the message is sobering. Deterrence only works if the enemy believes you'll act. And in today's world, survival depends not just on strength, but on speed, clarity, and unity. This wasn't World War III, but it was a warning, a dress rehearsal for something far more dangerous. If you found this video important, hit subscribe and share it.
You